are making hot pink brioche hamburger buns today, and I'm going to show you how you can use beetroot to naturally color these beautiful hamburger buns without any artificial colors. And yes, this hamburger bun was inspired by the internationally famous movie Barbie, of course. And today I'm going to show you how to naturally color these hamburger buns a beautiful hot pink using beetroot. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever tried to use beetroot when baking, you may have had some issues of it coming out brown. Well, I'm going to show you a secret ingredient today, how to create these beautiful hot pink buns that won't discolor in your oven. So the first thing that we need to do is mise en place, everything in its place. I've prepped everything, and we're going to be now making some beetroot juice. So I've gone ahead and bought some raw beetroots here. If you have a juicer, you can use that. I'm just going to be using my blender today, and this can get a little bit messy, so I do recommend that you wear some gloves. And all we're going to do is just dice these up so they can get into our blender and blend a lot more easily. So I'm just going to roughly chop them up. Now just add all your beetroot to your blender. Beetroot is also fantastic for the kidneys and the blood, and if you're someone who likes to work out, it also aids a speedy recovery for muscle soreness and things like that, so it's a fantastic ingredient. And it's such a pretty color. Okay, so now I'm gonna add some water. Just enough so it can kind of blend, like almost the same volume, I suppose. I'm just filling it up with our water. All right, let's give this a blend. Isn't that a great color? All right, so now we're gonna strain this. So we wanna get rid of the pulp, we don't need that. So I like to just grab like a colander or a strainer. And then you want to grab yourself a nut milk bag, or you can also use some cheesecloth, and we're going to just pass this through. And in my stand mixer bowl, I'm going to weigh out the beetroot juice that we need for this recipe. So now I did mention we are using a special ingredient in this recipe to make sure that our hot pink buns are going to stay pink in the oven. So when you put it traditionally like in breads or in cakes, when it goes into the oven, it starts changing its chemical process, its pH, and it starts oxidizing, which means it starts going brown. But we don't want that to happen in this recipe, and we still want to keep it all natural. So we are using vitamin C powder. And I don't know if you can tell by this bag, but I got this from Jim Beam, which is just a workout supplement company, but you can basically buy vitamin C powder from the pharmacy or your local drugstore. It's exactly what it says it is. It's just pure vitamin C, and what it's going to do is help to stop that oxidization process in the oven so we can create these beautiful hot pink hamburger buns. So I don't know about you, but I remember when I was a little girl, and you know, when it's coming around to flu season, my parents used to give me vitamin C tablets. It's exactly the same thing. So it's completely natural. In the baking world, it's also known as ascorbic acid. I know that might sound a little bit scary, but all it is pure vitamin C powder, okay? Adding some of our vitamin C powder in with our beetroot right now. So next we have our panis egg. So this is our vegan egg replacer, and this is going to replace all the functions of eggs, so we can really give that classic brioche texture. And I have just measured that out, so we're just going to sprinkle that in as well so we can hydrate in our beetroot juice. We have our yeast, of course, and our sugar. We have our invert syrup or glucose syrup. We have our chilled plant milk. And already it's becoming a beautiful pink color. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a whisk, just to make sure everything is nicely hydrated. And now goes in our flour. So we're using a bread flour today. It's sometimes also known as strong flour. So basically it just has a high concentration of protein, and that's the gluten which holds onto all the gas when we're making bread. So the higher protein flour that you use, you're gonna get more rise out of your bread. So we're gonna be adding that as well. And pop this onto our stand mixer with our hook attachment. So we're just going to start this on the slow speed, so on speed 1, until everything starts to come together. So our dough has just started to come together, and we can really start to see that beautiful pink color, which is just stunning. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to turn up to speed 2. And we're going to need this until we develop some gluten development. So we're looking for about a 75% gluten development, or until we can just do a window test. So I can see my dough is starting to lift up from the bottom and the sides. So I think that it's ready. We're going to check the gluten development now. So we're going to do a window test. Just grab some water on your hands just so that dough is not going to stick. And we're going to take up the dough and see whether we can stretch it into a window just before it starts breaking. And I can see that we're already at that stage, which is perfect. That's what we want. Now I'm just going to take this dough off the hook just to make sure that everything gets nicely incorporated. Now at this stage we can add our salt. Now the reason that I have delayed putting the salt into now is I do find that we can develop more gluten a lot faster with the delayed add of the salt. So we're going to add salt now at this stage. And I've just put the speed on number 1. So whilst that's mixing, we can slowly add our vegan butter or vegan margarine. And this is a firm variety of margarine or a high fat variety. And you want to make sure that you're using it at room temperature so it's nice and soft. And we're just going to add like about a tablespoon at a time. Now if you do want your brioche to have a nice buttery flavour, this is the time to add your butter aroma. So butter aroma, it's very similar to like vanilla essence, except this is a butter essence. And I have put a link of where you can find this around the world in your unique ingredients list found in your dashboard. So you can put a few drops of that in there. And then just continue adding your margarine a little bit at a time until it's all incorporated. Now once all the margarine is emulsified, I'm going to turn the speed up to 2 again. And we're going to mix this until the dough is coming away from the sides and underneath. I can now see that the dough is starting to lift away from the sides and the bottom. So we're going to turn that off and get this off our mixer. Now I've just got a container here. You want something at least 3 or 4 times the size of your dough. And I'm just going to grease it with a little bit of vegetable oil. And look at that gorgeous color of our dough. It's this stunning hot pink. I'm going to add that to our container. Now I like to just flip it over just so it gets a bit of that oil on both sides. And just tuck that dough underneath itself so we've got a nice smooth top. So just press your dough into the corners so it's nice and level. Now I've just got a marker here and I'm going to mark on the side where it currently is, where the current level is on my container. And we're going to do our bulk proofing now, or our first proof, until it has doubled in size. So we want it to come double where we've just put that mark. So I'm just going to pop the lid on and then set this aside until it's double in size. So our bulk proof on our Barbie buns is done. So it's doubled in size. So we're going to take a look now. You can see it's puffed up a lot. Now we're going to deflate our dough. I find just spraying your hands or just wetting your hands with a bit of water will help it to stop sticking. And we're just going to punch our dough down. And onto our bench, I'm just going to add a little bit of oil. Okay, so now we're going to scale our dough. So for our classic brioche hamburger buns, we're going to do 100 grams for this dough. So just deflate again, make sure that there's no big air bubbles, and then we're just going to tuck all those corners into the center. Just pinch those together and then flip over, and then we're going to roll that into a nice tight ball. And just continue with the others. So now with your balls, you can just put that onto a tray lined with some baking paper, or you can use one of these silicone forms for hamburger buns. I really like these because it will help shape them in exactly the right shape for the hamburger bun. And just cover with a tea towel for about 10 minutes just for them to relax a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and scale our slider size. So these are like the little mini sizes. And we want to scale these about 33 to 35 grams each. So we have our larger ones here and then our smaller ones. So we're just going to cover both of them up with our tea towels. And we're going to set that aside for about 10 minutes. We just want the gluten to relax before we press them down a little bit to give them their signature shape. So our buns have been resting for about 10 minutes, and I'm just going to press them down gently so we can give them that kind of signature shape. And then you just want to brush them with a little bit of plant milk. And we want to wait until they double in size before we put them into the oven. So my buns have proofed and they're doubled in size. So we're going to do our final vegan plant milk wash. So just pop that over the top. So as soon as your buns come out of the oven, you can brush them with some melted margarine. That's going to give them a beautiful sheen and make them super soft. And I'm going to let them to cool down on their trays for about 5 to 10 minutes, just so they're cool enough to handle, and then put them on a cooling rack to cool down completely before we store them.